John Aspinall's animal parks at Howletts and Port Lympne are in many ways a last-ditch attempt to preserve the world's endangered wild animals. The parks stretch over 470 acres of Kentish countryside between Canterbury and Hythe. They work to Aspinall's own credo, to treat the animals, at the least, as equals. It's Aspinall who sets the tone for what goes on here. He'd been suffering from cancer for the past 2 years. As he cuts browse for them, he knows he's now too weak to go into the enclosures with the animals he adores.
Do you miss not going in with them?
Oh, very much so. I just can't with this wound here. I just can't, because they come up and play with that, and no, that's a disappointment to me.
It must be a great sense of loss, really.
Yes, no, it is.
I mean, you've done this all your life, really?
I have really, for so long, 40 years or something. No, it certainly feels deprived of that, but one has to settle on what one's got.
Does it make you angry with this wretched illness?
No, resigned to it rather than angry. No point. Anger doesn't really help much. No. Well, I sometimes get impatient, because I can't do things, but not angry.
Aspinall and many of his keepers believe that this one-to-one contact with wild animals is crucial to a good and firm relationship. That's the way it's always been for Aspinall.
You can't go in there with a great gaping wound. Also, they're curious about dressings and things. They start pulling them off and fiddling around with them. I couldn't do it. Well, it's different. You can go on with the elephants because they're not likely to come and, knock you on that particular spot. They sense something is different, yes, and they certainly are interested. Concerned, I'm not sure, but they look at me. Particularly one at Port Lympne, he comes up every time and looks at that wound to see what's happening to it. And here as well, they look at one. I'm not sure. I think it's curiosity rather than pity.
Some of Aspinall's creatures are so remarkable that they leave an indelible impression. One of them is a 38-year-old gorilla, Baby Doll. She's just given birth for the 7th time.
Baby Doll was deposited with me when she was 6 weeks old. And the price was, this is 40 years ago, and the price was £1,200, which was slightly cheaper than you normally charge. But the chances of a 6 weeks old gorilla surviving were pretty remote. And so I turned down the offer. But when I arrived the next day to my flat in Eaton Place, I discovered in my bed, which I shared with my wife, I just married, I found this little thing, sucking her thumb.
The animals look forward to Aspinall's visits, not least because he gives them treats. Baby Doll has always liked fudge.
She was a bit zany. She's different from all the other gorillas. Her character is very different. She's a one-off gorilla. Yeah. We say zany because other gorillas are frightened of strange phenomena, and she isn't. For instance, I used to take them for walks in the park every day, and long before we opened to the public. We've only been open 20 years out of 40, and sometimes they wouldn't go back in. I used to scare the others in, because I couldn't have them running around, indefinitely, with live chickens carried upside down, flapping.
That would frighten them?
Well, that would frighten anyone who didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
It wouldn't frighten you or me, because that's only a dead chicken. Didn't know what a chicken was. Upside down, flapping, squawking, terrified them, and they immediately rushed in. Not Baby Doll. Baby Doll would just go up and examine the chicken. And so it didn't work with her. She's a bit fey. She's inexplicable. She's not like the others. As if she has in touch with forces and problems that don't affect the others. Yes, she probably would have been burnt as a witch in guerrilla society if it was anything like our own.
She's a handsome creature.
Yes, she looks, I don't know that she's handsome. So we think she's lovely. We think she's beautiful. But I'm not sure anybody else would say she was beautiful.
But across the world in Australia, one of Baby Doll's 7 children is coming to terms with a more detached approach to animal welfare. On the other side of the harbour from Sydney Opera House lies Taronga Zoo. For the last 2 years it's been home for Kibabu, who emigrated from Aspinalls in England to Holland and then to Australia. Now Taronga is an excellent zoo, but life for Kibabu is very different from the life his mother Baby Doll enjoys in Aspinalls Animal Park in Kent.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our McDonald's Gorilla Forest.
So how did Kibabu come here?
He was transported from Holland with the whole family group, and they were brought over by plane and introduced into this exhibit. We're quite lucky to have that in captivity, a family such as this. We have Kibabu as the silverback, he's the dominant male, and then we have 3 adult females which he breeds with, and the rest of the group is his offspring. Kibabu is a very calm animal. He's a great leader of the group. He's always watching over the family to make sure everybody's okay, and he's always watching us as keepers just to make sure that we cause no harm to his family. So he's quite likeable.
I mean, do you ever go in with them?
We don't go in with them at all. They are considered dangerous, so we do condition them. When we need to move them out of the exhibit, we would move them into their night quarters, and then it's safe for us to go out into the exhibit, and then they come back out again, and they're rewarded with food for doing that.
I mean, have you ever handled any of these creatures?
Only when they're anaesthetised for veterinary reasons, we would anaesthetise them, and then it's safe to go in once they're asleep.
Coming this way.
Peter Litchfield has been working with animals all his life. He hand-reared Django when his mother rejected him. Django is now part of a bachelor group of 10 gorillas at Port Lim, making his own way in a world of gorillas. He's been here for 8 months.
He settled in very well, extremely well. He had his ups and downs for a little while, but in general he settled in very well and he really holds his own. He's certainly got a no-nonsense character, which is very much in line with his father's.
Because he's quite important to the bloodline here, isn't he?
Yeah, both he's important because both of his parents were from the wild, and we've not managed to repeat him as yet.
What do you mean?
Well, in as much as that male and female are no longer together, so he's not going to be repeated as such. Got a half brother. I'm having this. No, I'm having this. Good. Same as you had. Same as you had. It's peanuts. Open your mouth.
What?
Huh?
Peanuts. Yeah. Young man. Yeah. Cobnut. Dropped it. Cobnut.
Do you think he'll ever forget that you hand-reared him?
I don't think so, no. He gets, sometimes he's a bit indifferent, but I tend to think that that's just his way. Sometimes I think he tends to take it out on me because I don't go in with him as often as I used to.
Now, how big is he going to grow?
He'll grow to about 420 pounds, and obviously develop a nice big silver saddle on his back.
How long will you keep going in with him?
Well, as long as I can, really. I really don't know how long that will be.
When will you know when it's time to stop?
When the pain becomes too great. Maybe going to Bunnings to help. I'm tempted to bring him up a bit gorilla rather than human. So, and when he actually goes gorilla on me, then I can't control him very well.
Do you miss him?
Oh yeah, I mean, tremendously, you know. It just doesn't go away, you know. Like a child, I suppose. Once, you know, they leave home, they fly from the nest, you know, you always remember the time when they were there.
They leave a hole.
Very much so.
Okay, we're going to practice on the 2-2 today. We go back and let one of the other chaps have a go. Okay, Jim, you're going to have a go now. Bolts back, safety's off, it's all ready to fire. So just get yourself comfortable, chamber around and squeeze.
It's one of the apparent ironies of working for conservationist John Aspinall that an elite group of keepers and management indulge in regular rifle practice.
How's it looking?
They practice for their own safety and for the safety of the general public.
Doesn't matter where it goes, as long as you try and get the group.
For the paradox about the work of Aspinall's team is that in order to save wild animals, they have to confine them. In order to protect them, they have to know how to control them and, if necessary, kill them.
Quite a tight grouping.
No, good.
Handsome. I'll change the target and we'll see how one of the other chaps get on.
And that must be done in the most humane and efficient way possible.
These are double-barreled rifles. This one is 500 caliber. Well, that is, in plain speaking terms, half an inch diameter bullet, which I will show you.
Mike Lockyer has worked for Aspinall for 15 years.
It's a pretty tremendous stopping round, which would only really be used for elephant. I bought it from General Crowther about over 30 years ago in Kenya, and it's seen jolly good service. It's weighty, but I love double-barrel rifles. I mean, of all rifles, they have advantages over all other types because they're relatively short. There's no noise from the bolt action, and noise can give away your position, which is sometimes not desirable. I used to carry it where we were catching elephants. I never had to use it. We never had to kill an elephant. The only time I've ever killed elephant with this, funnily enough, is many years ago when I was called out to put down an elephant that the vet wanted humanely destroyed quickly because it was in extremely bad condition.
Lockyer was for many years a professional hunter in Africa, catching animals for zoos and animal parks. He knows the life or death importance of accuracy.
And presumably it would also stop a tiger or something that was coming for you.
Yes, it would, but you must remember that tigers are classified as, although dangerous game, they're thin-skinned dangerous game, whereas elephants and rhinos are pretty thick-skinned. And so the heavy caliber is probably a better weapon at close quarters as an ultimate stopper.
Okay, does anyone else can have a go?
Well, having had years of shooting, it's a bit like riding a bicycle. I don't think you ever forget how to do it. And from the point of view of practice, you can use a small caliber, 2.2 or something like that, to test your accuracy.
What conceivably might you have to use it for in an emergency?
Well, only really something like an escaped bull elephant that was really in danger of killing people. It's unlikely. I hope I never have to use it. And in most cases, we'd probably be able to tranquilize the animal and then secure it. But it's the emergency gear, really, the final emergency backup.
In April 1984, at Port Lim, a bull elephant Bindu killed keeper Mark Aitken.
We estimated that Mark had done what he was doing when he got killed, which was taking a wheelbarrow in a shovel and clearing out Bindu's yard with Bindu in it 1,450 times before, without incident. It seems that he was lifted up and crushed against the fence, the railway line fence, and then dropped there, instant. I think he gave one cry. I had a very unpleasant task, which I had to go and motor off and see Mrs. Aiken, Mark's mother, And well, she already knew, of course, of the event, but to commiserate with her, see her. And I thought to myself, it's the most awkward thing I've had to do in my life, to tell a mother that her son's been killed. She put her cheek against mine, kissed me, and said that thanks me for giving Mark such a wonderful life. And I was speechless, really. I thought she'd be cursing me. And that he'd had a most wonderful he loved elephants, and from 10 years old he'd been to Howlett's, even when he was 10, and gazed at the elephants and declared that one day he wanted to be an elephant keeper. And Mr. Aspinall, you gave him this chance. He may not have lived long, but every day of his life was a joy. He used to go off to work singing that he was the elephant keeper. And that's due to you. I didn't know what to say. Poor old Mark.
But Mark Aitken also had a girlfriend, Julie Battersea. She was also devastated. Then somebody had the bright idea that helping another animal in trouble might also help Julie. She went to Aspinall's home, the mansion at Howlett's, and there she was introduced to a 6-month-old gorilla, Jala, whose mother had been shot in Africa.
When I went up to the house and I saw him in the quarantine room at the top of the attic, and I was just absolutely terrified because he was a lot bigger than what I thought he was going to be. I remember he had been used as a dartboard. He was basically a bit mixed up and sort of very scared, and when I first went in, he didn't accept me at all because they sort of like to show off, and he was such a bully, and I came out covered in bruises and thought, I'm never going back in there again. And I mean, he really did bite me very hard, and I thought, crikey, what am I doing? And at first I didn't want to go back in. I was quite very scared, actually. But then he gradually accepted me, and our bond grew closer and closer. I'd had a very traumatic experience with my boyfriend. I was 18 at the time. My boyfriend was killed by one of the elephants, and I just went back to live with my father, and sort of plummeting downhill. Like some people say, well, you've got to pull yourself out of it. And so I thought, well, why not? But at first I didn't want to go back into the zoo. But then when I did, I was pleased, I didn't really have anything in my life, and in the end he became very dependent upon me, and I guess that was what happened. When I used to leave, he used to cry, and it was just his dependency upon me, really, and then our bond.
He needed you?
Oh no, definitely, yes, he did, and I needed him, I guess.
Today, Jala, orphaned in Africa, is one of Aspinall's dominant male gorillas. Currently, he's waiting for 3 new wives, young gorillas, who are going to join his group, Fufu, Kibi and Emmy. Emmy is Baby Doll's granddaughter. To be transferred, all 3 girls must first be sedated.
Right. So we're hoping now that Emmy will go into this group and will breed with Jala. 6, Colin, yes? 7.
They take the opportunity to check the gorilla's ears and teeth. But there's a snag. One of the girls, Kibi, has a broken arm.
Well, she only did it yesterday afternoon, so she's been moving about as normally, but just holding her arm up, not putting an awful lot of weight on it. So we're just going to check her over and x-ray her before we shift her down to the other group.
Okay, everybody?
Yeah, she's broken a shoulder joint.
We will need to wait for that to repair itself before we can actually do the introduction. So, I mean, we could possibly be looking at 5 weeks maybe down the line now.
5 weeks later.
We'll open the connecting doors enough so that the 3 young girls can get through to him, but he can't get back through to their cage, so that they can go and sort of interact with them, but if it gets too heavy or too aggressive, they can shoot back in here without him following them.
The 3 girls inspect Jala from a distance. One of his existing wives in the enclosure next door objects to the whole exercise. The 3 girls hurriedly retire, and Jala is satisfied that order can be restored.
How's Kibby progressing then?
Right, her shoulder's pretty much healed now, probably about 90%. Very occasionally she favours that arm, but she's now walking, climbing, running with no real problems at all. So, you know, it's pretty much completely recovered.
Is that sort of normal? Is that what would happen in the wild?
Yes, there's quite a few instances of gorilla bodies that have been found in the wild where there's evidence of bones having broken and healed up. You know, it's fairly common, you know, unless it's a major injury, which this wasn't.
Tell me about Amy.
Amy's Baby Doll's granddaughter. She was hand-reared in France, so she's a bit more human sort of orientated than the other two. The other two were group reared. But she's getting on quite well with them. There's a little bit of bullying goes on. Sometimes they play, sometimes Fufu picks on her a bit because she's group raised and she knows all the dynamics of, you know, alliances, you know, forming groups and forming gangs and stuff, which Amy doesn't. But Amy, on the other hand, has this kind of confidence from having been hand-reared and a little bit spoiled. She's got this strange kind of confidence where sometimes it'll really upset and other times she'll walk into situations where a group raised one would be very wary. She'll walk in quite happily, so blissfully unaware, and get away with things that the others wouldn't. Baby Doll's a bit like that. You know, she's not at all dominant, but she doesn't particularly get picked on either. She's just kind of oddball.
Mr. Wraith says that if she'd been a human being, she might have been a witch.
She'd been a witch? Well, I don't know.
But she's got her own curious way of dealing with situations, being very still.
Yeah, she can make herself invisible.
Yeah. Oh yes, they love these. There's a lady in Cumberland makes these especially for the gorillas.
What are they?
Penrith in Cumberland. They're the best toffees you can ever have. That's anybody try one?
Thank you.
They're really good. I think Baby Doll knows she's the star of this. We think she's beautiful, but I'm not sure anybody else would say she was beautiful. That's not the way to eat them, you silly boy.
There are around 1,000 wild animals in the care of John Aspinall at these animal parks. There are 80 species, and most of the time the care is routine. Most of the time. The water buffaloes have a new arrival, a calf born at 7:15 this morning. Now, for a water buffalo, a good day begins with a wallow in mud and water. But the calf is still only 6 hours old, and it's dangerously close to the deep wallow. Keeper Adrian Harland is passing and sounds the alert.
Right down onto the mud and
He's right here. Can I answer for you?
If the calf falls into the deep water, he will drown. Boz Luff is its keeper.
Unfortunately, they haven't got the savvy to realise that the calves aren't strong enough to come back out again.
Do you know yet whether it's male or female?
As far as I'm aware, I haven't been that close, but sort of through binoculars, I think it's male, yeah.
So what does that do to the balance of the herd?
Well, we haven't got many bulls. We've got the father and the other calf's a bull. A lot of these cows are too old for breeding now anyway.
But you do supply quite a few of the of other animal parts.
we have done in the past. We've sent several here and there. Just where's he gone? Down the bank?
Philip?
No, he's not. He's right on the edge, isn't he? Or is he in there?
An older calf has led the newcomer into the wallow. But he manages to extricate himself. newborn calf is stuck in mud and water. The anxious mother tries to help. The keepers can't get too close. These creatures are capable of seeing off a tiger. Eventually, the calf frees itself. But the keepers decide to move the entire herd away from the wallow for the time being. If the calf fell in again, a keeper might not be passing to give the alarm. The paddock next door is safer. There's no wallow.
Put us up for the bastards or anything.
So what do you reckon?
Well, we were lucky. She just went in a shallow pool there and so fortunately climbed out. So now he's in there, he can't go anywhere, you see, because there's no wallow, but we have to let the rest back out. Not now, but later on.
On the back drive,
So what were you going to use the Land Rover for?
Well, if need be, mainly to sort of keep the others away, and if we had to pull him out of deep water, or put him in the Land Rover to take him through that way.
Because you can tug him out with your...
Well, no, you'd have to pick him up, but fortunately, as I walked the other side, they all decided to come with me, and little one followed on.
Would you go in with that lot?
Well, no, that was the idea of the vehicle as much as just a little bit of a screening, because they all tend to join in then, you see.
Narrow escape?
Well, it's fortunate that Adrian saw it at the time, really, because 6 feet up from where it did fall over there, it's a deeper one where it wouldn't have stood a chance.
These are wild Indian water buffalo.
Next day, all is well. John Aspinall, fighting against cancer as he has been all year, is on his weekly round of the animal parks.
And we are the suppliers, really, of Europe for these animals. We sent 5 to West Berlin a year or two ago. And in England, all the water buffalo, the wild ones actually, are descended from this herd. It's a lovely herd. Look how, have you ever seen them in India? You'd get an awful shock if you did, because they're just bag of bones, all of them. And they breed pretty steadily.
In the rhino section, they're expecting an addition to the herd. Keeper Berry White is in charge of Aspinall's rhinos. For many of them, the favourite weekly treat is chocolate.
Yeah.
And this is?
Rukwa.
How'd she come here?
When did she come here?
Yeah.
When she was about 2.
And
so it must have been 27 years ago.
And where did she come from?
She came from Kenya. I don't know whereabouts in Kenya, but she's the East African variety of rhino. East African race. And she's had how many calves successfully?
4.
4. And she's pregnant again.
Who's the father?
It'll be Addo, this one, the bull that came from South Africa.
Come on, look, quite a lot of goodness in chocolate. This brown bread's probably better than that white stuff could be. But we can't choose what the baker gives us because he charges us 4 pence a loaf instead of 45p. And it's the overbake we get. What they haven't sold that day. It's all before the sell-by date. We don't buy anything after its sell-by date.
Come to that, none of Aspinall's animals is past its sell-by date either. Breeding is often a yardstick of an animal's happiness, and Aspinall now has a herd of 11 cows and 6 bulls. His target is to create a herd of 40 animals and then start to send them back to the wild. Rukwa is one of the founders of the herd.
She's a fantastic breeder. 2 of her calves have gone on to breed themselves. Nakuru, who's behind her over there, is her daughter, and she's already had 1 calf here in Weru, and she's also pregnant again. So she's very responsible for a large part of our collection, to be honest. Come on then, Rooks. Come on. Rookwa is actually a fabulous sort of personality, really gentle-natured, really good-tempered, and this does come down the line with her children as well. They're really, they're very good with us. From a very early age, they're teaching the calves to play, fight, spar, look after themselves. I mean, that's why it's an important thing for us. If a mother lets us have a good relationship with the calf, if they allow us to, like Rookwa will, the calf grows up becoming bonded with us, and if we have to treat them for any problems, there's no need to anaesthetise or anything like that. We can have a lot of hands-on experience with them.
Do you think that Rookwa or any of her progeny might go back to the wild?
Oh yeah, there's a very good chance. I mean, like I say, our old friend Navasha, her son's already gone back. With the way the numbers are going at the moment, that's what that's really what we're aiming for. Just build the numbers up as much as possible.
And who's this?
This is Nakuru, who you see her at the moment. She's pregnant at the moment. I'll just give her a scratch because she's come up for a bit of a tickle. Hello, babe. Now Nakuru is an absolute sweetheart most of the time, but she's pregnant at the moment. She's calm as anything now, but you should see them at feeding time. And Rooks tolerates this, but Nakuru just goes wild. You've got to get her food out to her quite quickly. She's super protective of herself. Butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. You should feed her at feeding time, you'll see.
Food and sex are, not surprisingly, the most contentious issues in the herd. The bull Addo is having a difference of opinion with Lucia, a cow imported from Rome last year. Lucia has been kept in a cage on her own for 12 years.
So what was all that about?
That was Lucia just showing that she's still in charge, really, and making sure she's still bossing him about. She's a bit cheeky as well. She eats the best bits out of her food, and then she'll go over and push him away off his, and perhaps have an apple or banana out of his, and then wander off, have a little charge at him, and then wander away.
I mean, this is a creature, Lucia, who, having come from Rome, hadn't seen another rhino for how long?
Well, she was on her own for something between 10 and 15 years. So yeah,
So how's she settled in?
Really well. I mean, she's been in all the paddocks. This is her 3rd bull that she's running with at the moment, Addo. Addo's our proven bull, and they mated last week, so we're quite pleased about that. But she's quite an interesting character because she spent so much time on her own. What we found was this is working quite well because Addo actually has got the sense to sort of stay out of her way. When she's in season, that's fine, they'll mate. Whereas the other 2 bulls that ran with her previously, they're always wanting to be with her and jumping on her back and everything, and she wasn't up for it. I mean, she spent so much time on her own. She's quite happy to go and be with them when she wants to be, but she likes moseying around and just sort of wandering around the paddocks, and when she chooses, she'll go and be with them. And I think what you've just seen there, she every now and again she likes to like give me a bit of space, but this is a great paddock for that because she's got plenty of space.
Berry knows that at least 2 rhinos are pregnant. On June 21st, it's Arusha who first becomes a mother.
Arusha gave birth 2 o'clock in the morning 3 days ago, being absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's her first calf. She's 15 years old, so it's quite late to be having the first calf. So it was a bit frustrating because for the first day, because it was Arusha's first calf, her udder hadn't dropped that much, and it's a very small calf, and it was really struggling to find the teats and doing all sorts of strange things like sucking the front of her legs and sucking. And Arusha, the day before, I'd never seen anything pace like she did. You could see something was on the move. And that first day, she was absolutely shattered. She was, frustrated as well, trying to get this baby to feed. And, she was just, sort of thinking, well, hopefully it'll have fed by the next morning. We spent all day watching. She actually came over to the gap where we can stand. I mean, she's not an animal that I've ever gone in with or would do because she's just too nervous. And she actually came round and was scratching her back legs. And she crouched enough, and the baby was there, still sucking her front legs. And then I just couldn't believe that she was so tolerant that because normally we just leave the mums and babies, especially for the first couple of weeks. And the baby came up and was it was being a bit resistant, but was trying to just sort of encourage her onto the teats. And Arusha let this happen, and she was absolutely fine. I was sort of quite flattered that she let me do that.
The pair of South American tapirs at Howlett's are 5 years old. Keeper Paul Wordnam.
The proper names are Fred and Topaz, but we called her Wilma because we didn't like Topaz, and it matches Fred quite nicely. Come in, son. He's fairly famous because of his spotty legs. Being a mature adult male, he's got spotty legs, which is a bit unusual. Come on, son. All right, mate, don't worry. Come on, Wilms.
Fred's partner Wilma is pregnant, but there's a complication.
And she's had this problem with her teeth. Females are often a lot bigger than the males, a lot bulkier. She should be due a child in around Christmas time, I think.
So how long is the pregnancy?
390 to 400 days. 13 months, something like that.
First one she's had?
Third this will be.
Fred is the father in all 3 pregnancies.
How did you find out that she had a tooth problem?
All her bottom jaw here, it's still not very pleasant now, but it all blew up to about the size of a tennis ball through here.
Yeah.
And went right back to about here. So she had to be lanced and drained and x-rayed, and they found some problems with her jawline and all sorts of things. So she's had to have 2 x-rays. It's an ongoing problem. I mean, she's perfectly happy in herself, but it's just that it can't be very pleasant for her.
So what's going to happen to her today?
She's got to be sedated, and they're going to have a look at this lump to see what they're going to put an endoscope into her mouth to see if they can see anything that they can identify to treat, really.
Okay.
Wilma is anaesthetised by dart through a blowpipe. Peter Curtis spends 4 days a week in his West End dental practice and his weekends exploring the mouths of animals all over the world.
She actually went down very quickly. She should get a little deeper and jaw tone should relax a little bit as we progress.
Not too bad, is it?
What's the trouble with this, Peter?
She's had an abscess, now 2 abscesses on and off. It's a question of diagnosing where it's coming from. We're looking at the possibility there might be a milk tooth that hasn't fallen out. Okay. This is a rigid endoscope. Possibly we may see something. It does actually seem a bit dodgy on that one, doesn't it? The gum seems a bit inflamed on the top. That's the 1, 2, 3. That one, the way it's packing, is the first molar.
Right.
Let's have a look at the. Could you get hold of the tongue for me? Maybe just pull it. Maybe we can see something on the other side. Maybe not.
Thankfully, there's nothing seriously wrong.
That's fine.
Wilma recovers, and the next day, Fred and Wilma celebrate.
They're more aquatic than I thought.
Yeah, quite very much so. There's a lot of skin problems if you don't let them have water all the time, especially in the winter, where it tends to flake up and we have a lot of skin problems.
I mean, do they mate in the water?
Well, it looks like they do, but I wouldn't guarantee that they do. You don't often see them mating. All you find is a few marks on their back with rub marks, and hopefully no signs of mating afterwards, so you basically take that as a date and go from there.
And what would be their prime?
Well, they live to about 30, so somewhere in the middle, I would imagine.
So you've got a fair number of breeding years here,
Well,
yeah?
I hope so. Should get at least sort of 6 or 7 calves out, I would have hoped.
Meanwhile, the water buffalo calf, which fell into the wallow, is thriving. And the rhino calves are settling into their paddocks. It's 4 weeks since Arusha gave birth. It's time for her calf to go out into the great wide world of Port Lim. Arusha has taken to motherhood better than Berry anticipated.
She's been ever so steady. I mean, she's 15 years old, but she's quite old to have her first calf, so we're particularly pleased with this one. But probably because she's seen so many of the other mothers and their calves, she's a hell of a lot calmer than we expected her to be. She's been really good. We've got quite a few males here already. This particular birth is quite important to us because Arusha's mother, Navasha, was one of our original females from the wild, but we haven't got any of her calves still with us. The only one still surviving, except for Arusha, is actually now in Africa. But fortunately, Navasha gave birth to a bull calf this year, and Arusha's had a female calf, so it's a real turn-up for us.
And what have you called the calf?
Rafiji. She's named after a river in Tanzania. All our rhinos are named after lakes and rivers. So Mr. Aspinall names them, so yeah, it's a nice name.
It's a tradition that Aspinall names all the new animals. This is Etna's calf, Tana.
Tana, named after the Tana River in East Africa. We'll keep whatever we can keep. By that, I mean, it's a question of accommodation and paddock accommodation and housing accommodation. Whatever we can keep, we can keep. We reckon we can keep 40, but we're 10 years away from that, so.
Now, how heavy is she? I mean,
she's not a particularly big one, but I would say the biggest one we have, female, is Arusha. Arusha's got to be 1 3/4 tons, 1.5 tons anyway. I'd put her at about 1 ton and 300 pounds.
But Aspinall isn't relying solely on his own successful breeding program to boost his numbers. This summer, he sent a team to Prague in the Czech Republic to inspect a mature female rhino, Yaga, to add to his herd. Conditions in Prague are rather different from Port Lim.
She was lovely, yeah. Very, very sweet temperament, very similar to Etna. They can't afford to feed them the lucerne over there, so if anything, she was slightly thinner than our guys, but you know, she's a good size.
so these two are sort of relevant to the Czechoslovak one.
Very relevant. Etna over there is Yaga's half sister. Yaga is the female that we're getting from Czechoslovakia. So yeah, they actually grew up together. Etna was with Yaga up until Etna came over. So for the first sort of 3 or 4 years of her life, they ran together the whole time.
This one, it was aggression and not a very successful.
She'd been running with 2 males. One of them she could only run with for a couple of days because they were incompatible, and the other one was poorly and actually died a few months later. So I think bringing her here, one, if she comes over and sees Etna with a baby, that's going to do her the power of good, and it's going to be great for her to see Etna again anyway. And also we've got 5 different bulls that we can run her with, so I didn't think that's a problem at all. You know, a change in situation. Etna absolutely loves it here. It's definitely a lot more space for them. Yaga's going to get to see all the new babies and run opposite them, so yeah, looking forward to getting over.
Do you think they'll remember each other?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, we've got 2 females here, our 2 oldest females, Rukra and Navasha, and they are old, same sort of situation. They grew up together, they're old friends. Sometimes they're apart for a couple of years, but when they go back together, they know each other very well. They're old friends. Bringing in new bloodlines, it's always quite exciting. I think we've had all these recent births, but it's a great kickstart to us. Etna and Vuyu coming into the group, bringing in 2 young females, certainly seemed to help the others.
Eventually, there comes a time in every youngster's life when he's introduced to John Aspinall's weekly treats.
All right, Vash.
Oh, he tried that, ate it.
So that's what chocolate tastes like.
First bit of chocolate the daddy's ever had.
He's on some more as well. the way this last year's gone, you know, we've been so lucky with the last 4 births that, you know, we've got 3 girls and a boy. They've all been all right. We've got lots to look forward to. These 2 are pregnant. That should fall at the end of this year. And I mean, in the last year, this time last year, we had 12 black rhino. We've got 17 now. The numbers are really coming up. You know, 11 of those are girls. You know, hopefully in the next few years we'll be in a situation where we will be regularly sending rhinos back to Africa. You know, that's the whole point of it, really. I mean, it's wonderful having this sort of relationship with them. It's, you know, I'm over the moon.